Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined today by a very special guest, Dana. That's how I know you.
Yeah.
Are you a three-namer? Dana Merrill Berger, usually?
So the reason I am on social media is because there is a famous Israeli pop star named Dana Berger who's older than me. And I don't want anybody to think I'm her.
You're not her.
No.
You're you.
Exactly. I am Dana Berger, but on Instagram and all the things, I'm Dana Merrill Berger.
Well, I don't often bring up that, you're part of the fam. The Dan, Danny, Daniel fam.
Are we talking about names?
Well, yeah, you're Dana.
Uh-huh.
Which sounds different, but looks similar. Actually, I don't know if you're part of the fam. I'm double backing now. You don't fit the model.
I have very few thoughts on this.
That you seem flummoxed. The Dans usually are kind of serious guys. So you would be a Dan variant as a Dana, but I don't know.
You think Dans are serious?
Dans tend to be a little more serious.
What about Daniels?
Daniels are the most serious.
Yeah, that's what I think
They're
too.
in accounting and they're lawyers and they're architects.
Yes.
And they don't like butt stuff,
Oh.
Right, because they're anal retentive.
I see.
Well, I wanted to talk about, first of all, you have done 2 videos now where you lip sync me.
Oh, yes.
A voice memo I sent you. I want to thank you. It's very flattering, really funny.
Oh, okay.
And you just bring a different life to these weird things I say. I didn't even know they were that weird.
Oh, they're very, very weird. And your cadence is very weird. I mean, I love them. I love a Vega voice note.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I remember one is about the, what was the first one? The ice machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this $600 ice machine.
Yeah. I actually probably can recite a lot of it by memory.
Oh, take us through it.
I mean, I don't know if I can fully, but it was like, my latest diva insanity is... I bought a $600 ice machine. It makes crunchy ice. I like to chew ice. I chew ice all day. I love chewing ice.
Yeah.
And when I got it, I was first like, I need to be chewing this ice. This is a lot of money to spend. So now I just love ice, and I loved cold water. And it's honestly one of the best purchases I've made in my entire life. That was almost perfect. I know where I fucked up, but yeah.
That was great. I didn't memorize it. It was just something I
had to memorize
I saw
it in order
myself
to do
in it. Yeah, no, you crushed it. You really did a great job. And I think a thing that made me want to have you on the pod, we've had a lot of voice memo discussions, but I described you as sagacious. You are a girly of wisdom.
Sagacious?
Yeah.
Is that how you say that word?
Having sagacity.
Is it not sagacious? Maybe
you could have sagacious.
But like it's because it's a sage, right? Sage is somebody who's wise.
Sure.
But maybe it's sagacious. I don't know.
Sagacious.
Maybe it's maybe you're right.
Sagelicious. Freakalicious.
Well, but thank you. Either way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought you had some interesting points that emerged because you broke up with this guy, and I said, well, why? And you had really good reasons. So I was impressed with your reasons. Yes.
Well, we were just talking about relationships, and I think you were kind of curious as to why, like I was going through a breakup or why I had broken up with this guy. And I was just I think the one you're talking about is like, I didn't feel like he took care of his health.
Right. There was a yearly physical exam as a rule to be in a relationship with you.
Well, no, but that sounds crazy if you don't know anything about my history.
I don't think it does sound crazy.
Well,
I think it sounds reasonable.
Yes.
But you can explain it.
So my long-term partner of 8.5 years passed away suddenly from stage 4 cancer, which we didn't know that he had.
Right.
He was 34.
Crazy.
And
what was the cancer of?
Colon cancer.
It was colon cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
And he did not go to the doctor.
Would have there been a blood?
He obviously went to the doctor once we realized he had cancer, just to be clear. But I mean, all of this is to say, I'm not angry for him. I love this guy, obviously, but I just really decided after that I needed to have, for my own sanity, because I can't go through that again. I just needed to have a partner that would understand that I wanted them to make sure that they were staying healthy for me.
Well, I think it's reasonable. And when you said that, it didn't impact me immediately, but it stuck in my craw. And recently I did contract a trivial disease, but it made me, I'll just fuck it. I have HPV. I have HPV. I have the HPV. And there are signs that you have the HPV, which I'm not going to go into because it's grotesque. But I did go to a doctor and I was like, it's crazy that I would have to get this disease to get a yearly checkup. And I thought of you.
Yeah.
And so they took my blood, and let me just say, they just need to really like have a little bit more respect about the blood.
What do you mean?
Well, she's like, oh, it's just a little blood. I'm like, it's not a little blood.
No, they
it's
take
my
like
blood.
vials and vials.
It was 5 vials.
Yeah.
She's like, this isn't that much blood. I'm like, that is an insane. I can't even tell you how little blood I spill on a regular basis. That is so much blood.
Whenever I know I'm going to give blood work, I bring ginger ale with me.
Ooh.
Because I faint easily.
Yeah.
And you just like, they don't understand that they're taking your life force.
Right.
So
Yes,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? You
My
need to be
Kundalini.
prepared.
But no, I think it's a good message. I mean, most of the listeners are women. I feel like this does run male, this whole like, well, I need to go to the doctor.
Fair, but like to be honest, I haven't gone to the
message.
doctor enough in my life. Like I tend to be very healthy.
You go regularly now?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
At least yearly.
Yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm trying to just kind of I mean, because it's smart, because if you do it, you actually catch things before they become a real problem.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think it's asymmetric. In other words, the risk reward, it's like, yeah, the reward of not going to the doctor is you're not inconvenienced for one day a freaking year.
Right.
You know, and the risk is you could catch something early. I mean, it's just so much better to just get, guys, I know the healthcare system sucks, but I thought it stuck with me. There's obviously like stupid standards that people have. I mean, there's all these
For dating?
TikTok accounts. Yeah. Which is,
Sure.
you know, ridiculous, right? You know, and I've fallen prey to it myself.
Sure.
Obviously, I say
Like, give
these
me an
things.
example.
Well, there's a whole TikTok account where women will be like, you know, the hacky one is like, I want a guy who's, you know, 6'4" or whatever. You know, it's ridiculous. So tall.
I have things to say about that too, if you want to know.
Yeah, go for it.
That is way too tall for me.
Yeah.
I do not want
Well, you're
a man
short.
that's I'm 5'4".
Are you 5'4"?
Don't you think I'm average? How tall are you?
5'8".
Okay, so
Natural.
I mean, like, I don't know
Natural.
that I'm short. Do you think I'm short? I don't
It's
mind.
normal size for a
Yeah,
woman.
it's a normal size.
Yeah.
But like, I'm on dating apps, and like, honestly, 6'3" is like.
That's your max?
I mean, I don't even know if I want to go.
Well,
6'3".
to indict myself a little, you know, I mean, look, I think it's not a deal breaker, but like in general, I have found I'm not super into like a doctor.
Uh-huh.
It's a little too like type A. We're not really going to just engage with the world in a similar way. It's not
I think that's
that I
fair.
don't like doctors. I actually like to have a doctor as a friend. I have a friend who's a doctor.
Sure.
You know, so
You're just talking about, but see, that's not like a requirement that I think sounds unreasonable. I thought you were bringing up ones that you think sound.
I'm trying to think of some unreasonable ones, you know. Oh, like girls get roasted for it. Like girls who say they won't date a guy who drives a Prius, you know, which is
I've never heard this
beautiful
before.
vehicle. Well, you're not on TikTok, are you?
I love TikTok.
You've never seen that on TikTok?
I love TikTok. But I mean, I guess I don't really think much about cars. I live in New York City.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think these were good standards. I liked your standards.
Great.
I strive for these standards.
I like my standards.
They're
I mean, we
good.
could spend this whole fucking episode talking about my opinions about dating apps, but I don't think that's what we're here for.
No, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've got most of it. We did want to talk. We're going to talk a little bit actually just about your living situation. Just because you were like, it's not interesting. And I'm like, it's definitely not interesting.
Okay. All right.
So I think a little bit of context here. New York is like, you know, an old city here in the United States. Maybe you guys have heard of it.
I don't know if they know what you're talking about.
And you live in basically a famous apartment. It's kind of like maybe the original apartments called Stuytown.
I don't live in a famous apartment. That sounds like I live in the fucking Dakota. Like that is not.
No,
No,
ma'am.
I live in an apartment complex.
An apartment complex. Well, it's not particularly nice. It's not like famous for being nice.
Excuse me.
It's not nice.
I mean, look, it's not.
fine.
It's not fancy, but it's nice.
No one would go that far, but it's famous for being the OG, right? Like it is.
It was built in the 1940s, so it's actually not that old, but it was built by, I think, Roosevelt for veterans from the war coming home so that they would have affordable places to raise their families.
I thought that what's his nuts, old Peter Stuyvesant, he was famous because he sort of invented apartments. Is that wrong? Am I getting confused? Is that just his
Girlfriend.
legacy? Tell me.
What do you mean because he invented apartments.
Yeah, I think he kind of invented
like buildings, like the architectural
before
design of
everyone
buildings.
was like, everyone's in a house, and then he's like, what if we have?
I love that. That's what you thought. That's amazing.
There's nothing to that.
No, I mean, I don't know what he's famous for, but I know it's not that, and that's not why it's named Stuyvesant Town.
Anyway, you live in this famous neighborhood. It's not particularly nice, but it's there. And you've lived there your whole life.
I don't think, first of all,
Crazy.
Danny thinks that this neighborhood is so weird or like so notable. And it's like, no, it's just so normal to live in Stuytown. So many people live in Stuytown. Wait, you haven't told everybody what my face looks like right now.
Oh, we want to talk about your face?
Yes, because I don't want people to think, because you're filming this.
Dana got micro-needled.
A micro-needling facial right before I came here. So I have no makeup on and I look like a burn victim right now. And so I just, if anybody's watching this visually, that's why I look like this. It's kind of important.
I think it's a good look for you. You know, you're going to sit here and tell me that Stuytown is nothing special. There's a Stuytown subreddit.
Group.
There's a whole subreddit.
Well,
for
there's
this
a million
neighborhood.
Facebook groups and I'm in all of them.
You know what there's not a subreddit for? Val Vista Estates.
What the fuck is that?
Exactly. That's the neighborhood in Casa Grande that my house was in.
Yes, but that's in what, Arizona?
Yes, Arizona's a place too. You know? So
I didn't know there was a Stuytown. What is the Stuytown Reddit about?
Nobody cares. It's only 540 subscribers.
Okay, there you go.
But it is weird to me though, just even on a non-New York level, just that you've always lived in the same neighborhood your whole life.
Well, it's a very classic native New Yorker thing, actually, because obviously the real estate here is not cheap. And if you happen to own your apartment or if you're in a rent stabilized apartment.
Are you in a rent stable?
Yes, I am.
You're in a rent stable?
I'm in a rent stabilized apartment.
Can we get it? Can we get the number?
No.
We're not going to get that? Is it good or is it like good?
I mean, it's fine, but it is a big apartment. So.
Are there 2 bedrooms?
It's a 3-bedroom.
3 bedrooms?
Yes. So.
But you only have 1 roommate.
That's right. But this is the thing. You can't leave when you have a place like this. So that's why there's people that are still in the places that they grew up in. My parents don't live there anymore because they moved out of the city. And obviously I'm going to take that.
So they passed it to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway.
So you're literally in the same unit you grew up in.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get technical about it, for the first half of my childhood, I lived in a different apartment in Stuytown, and then we moved to the one I'm in now.
I think we're going to count that. Wow. So how many floors is this thing? It's not very high.
I think it's like 11. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the thing that's notable
it's kind of dormy. That's actually, I think, why I kind of roasted a little.
I think you think it's dormy because there's actually like trees and lawns and playgrounds and like community spaces, which is what makes it pretty attractive to people and families, people with kids, is that it's kind of like you're living in a place that's not in the city. Like it's quiet if you don't live on 14th Street.
Sure. Sure. Well, that's a little bit of New York lore for you guys. It's great to have you. And Dana, you're doing something no one has ever done before. She's not holding her mic. She's using her knees to hold it, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, my hands were getting tired.
Okay. All right.
Is it working?
Tired, folks. I mean, it seems like you're drifting a little bit from it.
Geez. Okay.
Well, you did an awesome job in finding some situations to discuss. Yeah.
I was really floored by some of these when I was looking through the AITA subreddit.
These are great. Our second story, which Dana's actually going to read, and you're an actor. Primarily.
I am an actor.
Is that how we identify you?
Yeah, actor. Absolutely.
Actress, actor.
Yeah.
And that's what you do.
That's what I do.
And you're busy at nights though, teaching acting. What was that? You're busy?
I coach a lot at night sometimes. I mean, throughout the day.
Like one-on-one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And people work on their scenes and stuff with you?
Yeah, they work on their auditions,
That's
monologues, that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Neato. I don't know why I'm saying neato. I've never said that in my entire life. Our second story of the day, AITA for telling a coworker, I miss you when she's in a relationship. Uh-oh. But first, AITA for not getting special treats for a neighbor kid who has a disability. Every year at Halloween, we give out chips instead of candy. My wife and I think it's fun for the kids to get chips to go along with the candy, so we buy ahead of time at Costco so there's plenty. What we don't use will be saved for things like barbecue later in the year so people can have their own bags of chips. I have a neighbor, Debbie, who's really upset about the potato chips we give because her kid doesn't eat them. She thinks we should offer some other options to her kid because he has a disability. I don't think that's fair. And I told her it's rude to ask people who are giving out free stuff for Halloween to change things for just one kid. And I told her I'm not doing it. When her child comes and knocks on my door, he gets chips like everyone else. I let the kids pick the types of chips in the bowl they like, and I feel like that's more than generous. Debbie said other neighbors are accommodating her child's disability for Halloween, and I should think of others. I'm older, so I think a child should be grateful for whatever they get for free on Halloween and not expect special treatment for a disability when getting free items. AITA.
It took a lot of effort on my part to stay silent during that, but I really tried because it felt like this was a very important moment during the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, where I don't know where you are on this though.
I mean, I find it kind of funny, honestly. Like I was trying not to laugh.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons, in the way he expresses it about saving the chips at for barbecues and everything like that. Anyway. Should you go or I go?
No,
First
you go
of all,
first.
I think it's interesting that he's not mentioning what the disability is.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing it's an eating thing.
Oh, is that what you thought?
Oh, what did you think?
Huh. I just thought maybe the kid, I don't know. Maybe I thought maybe the kid was like
chips?
autistic or something. I don't know.
Oh, and then the ruffling of the bag or something?
No,
like that?
it's so funny we read this totally differently, and maybe you're right. I kind of read it as if the fact that the kid doesn't eat chips has nothing to do with his disability. Or is it a guy or a girl? I forgot. The kid.
Who cares?
Okay.
We'll say it's a boy.
Okay. And just a preference. But the fact that he has a disability is why the woman is acting like they need to do something about it. That's what I thought the person was saying.
I'm not seeing anything here about the nature. I looked through OP's comments and I'm not seeing anything about what the disability is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think you would call someone that doesn't eat carbs or something a disability. Do you know?
No, I don't know that that's a condition.
No,
either. I think carbs.
Yeah.
I think what happens if you don't eat carbs is you are dead. I think that's what that condition is.
But I'm just saying, like, what? That's
oh,
why
Daddy, I'm keto. I'm not dead. Yeah, but you're dead inside, though. Don't lie.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to imagine what disability could have anything to do with potato chips.
Well, he could have some kind of allergy or something.
But then call it an allergy. I don't think you call an allergy a disability.
Okay, so I guess we'll assume that he can't open the bag. There's whatever. He cannot engage with the potato chips.
I think it's just he doesn't like potato chips. No. I mean, I think he also has a disability.
Okay.
But I think your face is killing me. I think if he couldn't open the bag, his mom could open the bag for him. That's not a reason why you can't give people chips. So
you're thinking maybe, okay, I mean, let's read this comment because I think this aggravating item 9162 writes, NTA, my kid is on the autism spectrum. He only eats Skittles, Littles, and Sour Punch Bites. He won't eat other candy.
That's what I see. I thought it was something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would characterize that as a disability.
No, I wouldn't either.
You're kind of like you're fudging the numbers quite a bit there. It's a preference.
It's a preference.
Your child has a disability.
Yeah,
the disability is not really relevant.
Do you know how much candy I got on Halloween when I was a kid that like I don't like that shit?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Don't eat it. Eat the stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think what annoyed me about OP, because I guess let's assume that even if it was a disability, I still think I'm kind of like, yeah, like it's a free thing. You're going around to other people to accommodate. Let's say it was a nut allergy and he gives out nuts. First of all, I would say, fuck you, nut house.
But wait, I don't know what the scenario is here, but like, usually you have a lot of people coming through your house and you don't know what different people, if you could, you know what I mean? Like it's not like a select group of people he's giving candy to and purposely.
No, it's a bunch of kids. He said 100 or 200 kids, a bunch of kids come through. But let's just say though, because now we're getting into, well, is the disability valid? Let's just assume it is valid. Let's assume it's a nut allergy and he gives out a nut-based candy.
Okay.
Even in that case, I still am like, ma'am, you can't just go around to people and tell them not to give out nuts. If they give out nuts, they give out nuts. That's on you to deal with the nut allergy. That's your child. They're giving it out for free. You know, we were previously getting, I just have very limited, like, if you have a nut allergy, like it's kind of on you to go around and figure it out. Like you can't put that on this person giving out free candy. I think that's ridiculous.
I agree.
I don't like what she did. I don't think what she did is being very reasonable. I do think it would be very fine for her to, if she's going to have this fucking conversation anyway, to go, hey, you know, my son doesn't like those. So here, why don't you take these Swedish fish? These are his favorite. When we come by, will you just save?
That's a brilliant idea. I didn't even think about that.
You know? That's fine. I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
That said, I think what pissed me off about this guy, though, is, and this is the update. Your update. My wife and I decided we don't want to deal with it anymore. We'll be donating chips to the local school and churches for their Halloween party. Lights off at our house. I'm just like, what kind of whiny bullshit? Like, you're almost, I don't know why that annoys me more than the first person. No, we're not doing it at all, Dad. It's like, okay.
So that makes me wonder how much of a stink the mom made about it. Because just one comment shouldn't elicit that kind of a decision or a response, you know? But if she raised hell, or I don't even know. I mean, the other thing is that, like, it's a whole neighborhood of people giving out candy, you would think. So just because he can't eat the chips at this house doesn't mean that he can't go to all the other houses and get candy.
There's other houses.
Yeah. I just, this is just, you know, these are the mundanities of life.
Right?
The situations people find themselves in to make themselves upset when actually they could just move on.
Well, I think it's also like you're getting walked on. And this is something I've realized, like, and it's why I more and more, I try to just take my time before I respond.
I think that's really smart.
To people, because I've noticed as well, if I drop an I'm sorry too early, I'll get mad at myself. I'm like, no, I'm not sorry. Why did I say that? You can't unsorry, you know? And it's just like, to me, this is like, dude, you're really like, just think about it. You've given this woman way more power than she deserves. Like, she's being annoying. It's like, hey, I don't have to accommodate your child. I'm giving out free chips. This is what we do here. So like, I'm not gonna like, whatever, give out freaking Swedish fish for this kid. But it's like, don't let yourself get walked on. That's frustrating. And like, didn't you like doing this? So I'm just like, and maybe you're right. Maybe she did do more that we're not hearing. But anyway, I love this comment. Dangerous Abalone writes, mine has a plethora of food allergies. He trick-or-treats for fun. We pick out the safe candy and give the rest to the candy witch, who gives him a toy. The candy witch then eats the rest of the candy and regrets her life choices.
That's brilliant.
So funny.
So great.
You know, so I'm just kind of like, why would this work? Why the world does not, like, I think obviously informationally, yes, we should be telling the allergy people about what's in the foods and whatnot. But like, come correct, like, the world does not have to accommodate your allergy or specialized diet at every second and every whim. Like, it's unreasonable.
Well, it's also not possible. Because if you did that for one person, you'd have to do that for everybody. And the range of things that could be wrong with different people or preferences that they would need is insurmountable if you try to appease
I mean, this is going even farther, because I don't think it is an allergy like we said.
No, I don't.
I think this is a preference. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't care. How is it even relevant that your child has autism? There's children who aren't on the spectrum or don't have any quote unquote disability and simply don't like shit.
That's true. That happens all the time.
Then we don't need to go to pathology town.
That's
they
right.
Just straight up don't fucking like it, bro.
That's right. Right.
You know?
Right.
I don't like raw carrots.
I don't like candy corn.
Really? You're a candy corn hater?
Yeah, I don't like there's corn. A lot. Yeah, I don't like candy corn.
I don't love it, but I'll have a handful, you know? It's not bad.
I'm really not a how would you categorize the difference between something like candy corn or Swedish fish and like a Snickers?
Oh, I mean, well, Snickers. I mean, come on.
No,
Snickers.
but I mean, one of them is chocolate based and one of them is what, just sugar? Like plastic sugar. I don't like candies that feel like they're plastic.
Sugar. I'm with you there. I understand.
Do you know what I mean?
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So like, I like Reese's. I like. You know,
I mean, you're naming the bangers. Though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those are the ones that you want for Halloween.
Oh God, just like
a really good Rolo every once in a while.
Rolo?
Yeah, that's
good.
What
is a Rolo?
You don't remember Rolos?
It sounds like a nasty Stuytown
thing.
What the fuck is a Rolo? Now Rolos, these are gross.
Oh, they're caramel. I mean,
I'm not a big caramel guy.
Twix
is great. Twix can do it.
Yeah.
You're into chocolate bars. These are what you're naming.
That's what I would call. Yeah, but when I think of candy, that's what I think of.
Got chocolates. Yeah. I think candy, candy's a catch-all. You know, I think candy corn has its place. I think we should be respectful. But yeah, I do think generally the chocolate stuff, it's a higher tier.
Yeah.
It just is better. It's more expensive.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I think we know what's at the top. Those sweet, sweet golden balls. You know what I'm talking about? Ferrero Rocher people. That's the house that I aspire to.
Can you imagine if kids got Ferrero Rocher? Did you say Rocher or Rocher?
I don't know. I just eat it.
Get
I got
those
no
on
further questions.
Halloween. That would be amazing.
They're like $1 a pop, you know, but they're worth it. They're worth it.
They're delicious.
I'll give you a quarter. You can have 1 quarter. We cut it into quarters at my house. You get to sample it, and then if I think you're worthy, the child has to give me a review and think, oh, it's okay. I go, then fuck off. You're not getting a whole one.
I also like, what is it? Bocce?
Bocce?
Is it?
I think that's a ball-based game.
No, it is. But isn't there also these like silver and blue, also chocolate candies? I think they're Italian. There must be Italian. And they have hazelnuts in them. I think it's similar. It's delicious.
Just crushing it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think we're aligned here. I don't like OP's reaction. I think Dana's probably right that it does sound like Debbie was like, well, everybody else is doing it. So she's kind of stirring shit. And so they were just like, you know what? We're not going to deal with you. We're not going to deal with this anymore. And it seemed petulant and toddlerish to me. But
you know, clearly they have a system that works for them. Like they use the excess at barbecues for the rest of the year. You know, and I think that like disrupting the system that they have was going to be too much for them. So they just decided to throw up their hands.
I mean, let's face it. Halloween is like the closest America has to a social safety net at this point, you know? So like to get these boomers in, well, because people give away stuff for free, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay, we lost her. AITA for not getting special treats for a neighbor kid who has a disability. Nonetheless, I do think Debbie is being really obnoxious. It's just not appropriate. You're asking too much. It's a free thing, and it sounds like they're very giving, and I think it's a little ridiculous. I'm at not the asshole, and Debbie is.
I agree. Yeah, great. She's the asshole. I also think that Larry David would totally be on our side.
If he was giving out the candy.
He totally would be like, all right, fuck it. I'm not doing it. Nobody's getting candy.
You see that? Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I can go with you on that.
He would absolutely be like, what do you mean the kid doesn't, that's got nothing to do with autism. He'd say something like, you know what I mean? You're right.
You got me there. You got me. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 200 plus bonus episodes, every single episode ad free. Listen on Spotify. Here is Dana. She's going to read the next situation. Oh, are you bailing?
I mean, you're doing a really good job, and now you have to hand me the computer.
No, I told you to have your phone ready.
Oh, no, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I did. I said read them off your phone.
Wait, the facial is peeling. I can feel it already.
Her face is coming off. All right, here we go. AITA for telling a coworker, I miss you when she's in a relationship. So I, 30F, worked in a male-dominated industry this past year, and I quit this past week. I had a coworker, 33F, who I really liked and got along with. We didn't hang out or anything, but we were like Facebook friends. We would chat at work. She's engaged to her girlfriend of 3 years. I am happily married to my husband. This coworker walked out a week before my last day. Yesterday, I discovered she was the boss at a tire shop. I went to send her a Facebook message, but noticed she had unfriended me. Confused, I sent her this. Hey fam, I just wanted to let you know I got done last week. I couldn't handle the BS. I'm going to be buying all my tires from you from now on. I miss you. Her response 24 hours later. I don't know if I gave you the wrong impression since we only ever talked about customers, but it is highly inappropriate for you to miss me. I am happily married and I am not interested at all. I was completely baffled. First, I'm straight. I've never had any interest in women romantically. I'm also extremely happy and devoted to my husband, and I would never do anything to compromise our relationship. I responded, quote, I am also happily married. I meant I miss you, friend. As I was typing, she blocked me. I told my husband soon after, and he thought it was odd, but I may have crossed the line with, I miss you. I have the urge to delete all of my social media. I'm so weirded out by the thought that anyone would ever insinuate I am making inappropriate advances. AITA.
This one blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, go on.
Oh,
have the floor.
I mean, like, first of all, I miss you. That's something we can't say anymore.
No,
without it
I
being
think that's
bizarre?
ridiculous.
Of course,
I think that's ridiculous.
insane.
I think it's not. No, let me back off a little. I think it's not a sin. But for instance, if I had a girlfriend, and I have had a girlfriend in the past, I've heard of such things, and I'm getting my yearly checkup, so hopefully I'm on a good track. But no, but I think it is maybe not towing the line, but it's getting close to a line. All right, if I had a girlfriend and she was saying "I miss you" to a guy friend, it could be part of a holistic picture I don't like.
A
but it's not,
holistic?
yeah.
Continue.
Well, in other words, it's just like there's kind of a word cloud of things that kind of will toe the line. I guess it is a line tower for me.
Interesting.
It's not bad alone. It's not bad. But like if she was texting like, "I really want to hug you," I'd be like,
okay, that's saying I really want to hug you is different than saying I miss you.
well, no, but it is different, but it's also similar in that it's not inherently like some kind of heinous crime to really want to hug someone.
No, but it is so weird to say I really want to hug you.
I want to hug you right now. I could see someone saying that. They're
That's
grieving.
a weird thing to say.
It's not that weird. I want to hug you right now. If your mutual friend died and she's texting some guy that, I want to hug you right now, because whatever.
That's fine, but that's the most extreme example.
Well,
you
whatever.
could
But my
pick.
point is these things can come out that are just kind of like line towing. So I think if you're being as careful as possible, you might just avoid "I miss you." I can understand that. I don't think it's a crime, but
I suspect that the reason this is even happening with these people is that either the coworker's wife is a super jealous person.
Yes.
Or something's gone on in their relationship. Or in some way, the coworker has given her wife reason to believe that she actually does like the other woman. Because so blocking someone is so out of proportion to what has occurred that it just makes me think that there's something else going on.
It does seem like something else going on. What about "I hope to hang with you soon"? Doesn't that feel a little bit more...
That's fine too.
No, I feel like that's cleaner.
You and I do not agree about this.
Hope
I really don't think there's anything wrong with saying "I miss you." Like I would say that to a guy if I had a boyfriend.
If your boyfriend said it to a woman, would you rather? This is my question for you. Would you rather read "Hope to hang soon" or "I miss you"?
I think I would prefer "I miss you."
You'd prefer "I miss you"?
Hope to hang soon.
Let's hang soon.
How about, look, you can miss somebody because you haven't talked to them on the phone. I'd rather my boyfriend call some girl on the phone instead of trying to make a date with somebody.
My question is, "I miss you" versus "let's talk soon."
Yeah, sure. "Let's talk soon" is better in that
There we go.
instance.
I rest my case.
But I just don't.
No, you're right.
Don't think any of this
I'm
is
not
important.
saying it's against the law. I'm just saying I
yeah.
don't completely think it's totally absurd. It is a little romantic coded.
But you have to understand. I do think that there are different rules for men and women on this.
Ooh.
And maybe that's not PC to say, but
Well,
I
let's
think
hear it.
it's I think it's totally kosher for women to say "I miss you" to each other with abandon.
A woman saying it to another woman?
Yes.
Sure.
It's so normal. I think it's also fine for a woman to say it to a man. But I think that I think that the OP probably wasn't thinking about the fact that it could be misconstrued because A, she's straight.
Right.
And B, because the person she's speaking to is a woman. Do you know? I just think that that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a whole layer here, that she's straight, so she's bringing kind of the straight code here. But you're even saying, right, you're conceding a little that it is a little different.
No, wait, what's a little different? I'm saying if it was another lesbian to a lesbian, I still think it would be okay to say "I miss you."
Well, you think it would be okay, but heteronormatively speaking, it is a slightly different thing for a woman to throw it at a guy, right? And from a lesbian's perspective, it's going to be a different thing. So I don't think it's completely. It's blown out of proportion.
Very,
here.
very, very blown.
But
out
I'm
of
just saying it's not zero. It's not zero. This isn't zero. She didn't clock nothing.
I also think that communication through screens and text is totally different than hearing somebody's intonation and the way that they're saying something. So for the coworker not to also think about that is so bizarre. That's what I'm saying. Something else is happening in that relationship.
I think there's something to be said about what happened here. So we're to understand they work in a male-dominated industry.
What does that have to do with it?
I think there's something to do with it because what does OP say? Hey, fam, I just wanted to let you know I got done last week. I couldn't handle the BS. So it's from my read here, it almost sounds like OP is kind of saying like, I also didn't like it there. And I'm just wondering how this actually played out because maybe another reason without going to the other side of this relationship is that however this played out, right? Maybe OP wasn't really the ally that she thought she was in that workplace.
The ally of who? The coworker?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we only ever talked about customers. It's kind of like, that's interesting. That to me is an indicator that maybe OP wasn't really reading the room here either.
About what?
In other words, that this relationship wasn't something that she thought it was.
Oh.
Because it kind of sounds like this is a shitty workplace.
Oh.
And it kind of seems like OP had this affinity and maybe she viewed this lesbian woman as like her friend. And then the lesbian woman actually says, the first thing she says is, if I gave you the wrong impression, we only ever talked about customers, but it's inappropriate for you to miss me. And then, she says, I'm happily married. I'm not interested at all. So whatever. She took it romantically, but honestly, the communication isn't just a denial of romance. It's also a denial of, it kind of sounds like she's saying, I never liked you and I don't know where you got that impression.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. But what does the OP say about their situation again at the top? Like about what?
We didn't hang out or anything, but we were Facebook friends and we would chat at work. It's like, kind of sounds like you guys weren't friends at all. You didn't hang out and you chatted at work about customers. She walks out a week before OP. It kind of seems like, what was going on here? So like you both quit at almost the same time.
Maybe that's why the coworker doesn't even know she's straight because all they did was talk about customers.
Yeah.
So you might be right. You might be right that there actually wasn't much of a relationship. And so coming out of nowhere and being like, I miss you was a little bit like, what the fuck is this? I still don't know that you have to block somebody, that sounded so weird. Block somebody.
It's weird because she said this as a romantic denial, and I'm almost like, that might have been, but actually, let's look at what she says as well. I'm always gonna buy.
Wow, this is like Columbo, man.
I'm always gonna buy my tires from you, right? It's like a little intense. It's a little intense. It's like, okay.
Wow, you're right.
It's kind of like, get out of my hair.
Cue the Barry
I never
White.
liked you.
I'm always gonna buy my tires from you, baby.
Top comment, Microplasty writes, NTA, seems like maybe her wife is insecure or maybe she doesn't have many friends. I miss you is normal in the context. Like, damn, this would mortify me though. Hope you're okay. LMAO. Lala the Godzilla, NTA, but I think you misjudge your closeness with that colleague. She already unfriended you. That was the other thing. That was the other fucking thing. I mean, isn't that a pretty clear communication? I think OP may not have a degree in room reading.
Wait, when did she unfriend her?
The coworker walked out a week before my last day. Yesterday, I discovered she was the boss at a tire shop. I went to send her a Facebook message, but noticed she had unfriended me. I think that was a communication which said, we are not friends, which you then ignored. And you were shocked. Oh, so shocked.
I feel like my whole world is changing right now. I feel like we're learning. It's like that when a movie takes you all the way along with one character who you think is totally innocent, and then you find out they're actually the fucking killer.
It's not really adding up.
No, actually, I think this person might be a little clueless about like their social skills.
And I feel like she's probably doing that thing. I mean, just to look at this response, it's like, yeah, maybe OP isn't super self-aware and he's either channeling way too much, just bringing too much, or maybe there is a little bit of romantic attraction that she's channeling. We're not seeing it in this message, which has that plausible deniability, which we were talking about. But I miss you isn't exactly sterile. Well, it's not.
It's true. I just didn't read this carefully enough because I didn't remember the thing about she had unfriended me and we only talked about customers. So yeah, I think maybe the coworker actually found her kind of annoying. Like not
honestly, that sounds to me like the most
like being
thing.
like, oh, I can't fucking stand this person.
I just don't fucking like you,
so
bro.
maybe that's why she fucking
straight up.
Maybe that's why she left.
Yeah, that's why I'm out. I don't even
this woman
care.
was breathing down her back all the time, being like, "What do you think about those customers?"
Yeah. AITA for telling a coworker I miss you when she's in a relationship. I gotta say, I don't think it's the I miss you here. I just feel like OP, it seems like you're really missing something here. And I'm kind of on this lesbian side. I don't know why I like her. she's a bad bee. I kind of am at YTA.
No. I think we've resolved this together. Forensically.
You know, messaging through unfriending, it's like, dog, what is there to say? She's not your friend on Facebook. She's definitely not your friend in real life.
No. She ran away from you.
She ran away.
Yeah.
All right, guys, please rate, review, subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod, 200 plus bonus episode. Every single episode ad free. I'm really excited for this one.
Sorry, what does 200 plus bonus episode mean?
So, you know, sometimes we do 2 episodes. So like you and I would do 2 episodes. I'm very tired today as my New York trip is winding down. So sometimes we would do 2 episodes.
Oh, geez. I don't know if I could handle that.
I know, right?
Jesus.
And then we would release one for the subscribers only.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And sometimes people tell more secrets because it's a limited audience. It's not public. You have to pay. So, you know, next time I come to New York, you can do a bonus episode and we'll tell all your secrets.
Okay.
Great. But I'm really excited about the situation. I did a lot of research to come up with some of my conclusions. It's a juicer, folks.
Do other people that you do this with laugh at you as much as I have?
No, it hurts my feelings a little now.
No, I'm laughing out of charm.
AITA for making my wife pay for something she broke. Me, 24M, and my wife, 23F, were checking out an open house. We currently live in an apartment and are thinking about upgrading since we both have good paying jobs now. We went there and began checking the place out. It still had a bit of furniture and stuff from the previous owner, older lady, who was showing us around. And there was a tall, round kitchen table with some kind of artifact on it. I don't really know how to describe it, but it was like rectangular. It was made of glass, painted beautiful colors. It had like paintings of people on it, like perhaps a relic from another country. She did inform us she liked to travel a lot. Anyway, when my wife was talking to her, she swiped her arm and knocked the relic off the table. It hit the ground and shattered. My skin turned pale, hers did too, and she looked terrified. The owner was in shock but hiding her frustration. She assured us it was okay, but we needed to pay. This is where it gets strange. We didn't have the money up front, so we went home knowing we'd have to pay in about a week. And I asked my wife how she was going to come up with that money. Think 4 figures. She laughed hysterically and asked if I was stupid, saying there's no chance in hell she's paying that. And it's not her fault the owner left something so fragile and valuable out in the open. I told her she doesn't have a choice since it was her fault it got broke. And she called me an asshole and said she can't believe I'm not taking her side. She also noted how she thinks it may have been a trap. The woman left it there on purpose so it would get broke and she could scam us out of some extra money. I even offered to let her pay some of it, but she said no and that she's not paying any. I again said she broke someone else's property, so she has to pay it. That's how the world works. She disagreed. I told her she's crazy. AITA.
Are they getting divorced?
I don't know.
Yeah. They're a young couple. I think it's important to note that.
They are young. These are young people. They in fact may have a rather tenuous grasp of how the world works. And especially at this age, the proportion of how much you think you know versus you actually know tends to be at a record high, actually. Right?
I think that might be true.
Generally.
Mm-hmm. Well expressed on your part.
Sure. Well, you have to go first, Dana. Haven't you learned? I read the situation, then you have to take the first bat.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. I think something that comes into play, which unfortunately we can't figure out, is this woman whose house they visited.
Yes.
Right?
Apartment.
The apartment, sorry. What were they? Are they renting it?
It's an open house.
It's an open
and they're
to buy
looking
it.
To rent.
To rent.
I thought it was to rent.
No, you might be right. To rent. I would love to know the personality and the vibes of this woman.
Well, I'm a bit of a traveler, Dana.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Welcome to my charming abode.
Yeah, yeah. Like what's
sort
happening?
Of staged it a bit.
Yeah, like I think that I find it a little hard to imagine that somebody would put an artifact and hope that somebody knocks it over so that they can collect
course
money.
Not. I didn't want anyone to knock it over. It was on the table.
What is this? Quite an accent.
It was on the
whatever.
table, lovely girl.
I didn't want it to be
It was
knocked
in the
over.
table, lovely girl. What you do to your face? You microneedling.
Microneedling.
Microneedling, you say.
But I think that there's not an absolute answer to this one, because if it's not a store, it's not a store where it's like you break it, you buy it. And also the thing about a store is that everything has an agreed upon price point. It's already there. You know how much it costs.
Interesting.
She could have made up. We don't know what she broke. It's not Antiques Roadshow. You know what I mean? We don't know what it was, how much it actually was worth. So there is that variable. I think that like the best way this could have played out is they said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, let's work out something. Maybe they pay for half of it, or something like that, because it's such a gray area.
Yeah.
But the idea that you have no responsibility when you break something in somebody's house, that's a little funky, especially a stranger. If you break something in your friend's house, it's up to the two of you to work out like what really needs to happen.
Interesting.
Don't you think?
Well, we're going to start to break down some of the things you've said.
Okay.
I'm happy you brought us to, if you break it, you buy it. I feel like this is sort of in the air. Now, I want to propose, first of all, a big problem with you break it, you buy it is it's often put on a sign in the store.
Yeah.
That's where you might see something like this. You might see it. Can you prove in a court of law that I saw the sign? No. It's actually rather difficult.
What does seeing the sign have to do with it?
Well, the sign is a contract, actually. It's a contract. And even if you could prove it, which is actually not that straightforward to prove, apparently that's an issue when I Googled this, it's actually not a legally enforceable contract, and it basically is dog shit.
I don't think anybody's talking about a contract. What do you mean?
Well, that is a contract. We're making an agreement. If you break it, you buy it. If this condition happens because of your behavior, you must buy it. That's a contract.
No, I know. I guess the idea is that like most people would abide by that, and we don't expect somebody to take them to court if they don't.
Most people probably would abide by it.
Yeah.
But let's get into why it might be unreasonable, right? Well, one reason it might be unreasonable, we can imagine a store that is maybe kind of crowded. Maybe there's very small aisles. There's kind of a lot of stuff.
I've been in a lot of those stores.
And you barely knock a shelf.
Yeah.
And then all these little trinkets fall over. Now, and they say, well, you broke 20 of our little glass trinkets. You owe us.
I don't think that happens, but okay. I mean, that's
you don't think anyone's ever broken a bunch of trinkets? That's what
I
you
think
actually
maybe one, two, maybe not the whole.
Okay, we'll say 2. You broke 2 trinkets at the glass trinket store, and they say, well, that's $500, Dana. And you go, it was an accident. I barely bumped into the shelf. Is it reasonable, really? Is it reasonable that you would have to pay $500 for something like that? Do you think?
I think that nothing is absolute. I think that you have to figure out what is the most, listen to me, the most workable system for everybody to be happy.
No, but we're not trying to solve every situation.
No.
I'm asking you, you're at the glass trinket store.
I do think I think
barely bump a shelf. You barely bump it.
But so what's happening? It wasn't put on the shelf properly? Is that what you're saying?
I'm passing you in the store. This is what happened. I'm passing you in the store. I'm squeezing by you, and you barely, I'm talking about barely. You didn't body check it. You barely bump the shelf, and 2 glass trinkets fall off.
All right. That's a situation where I would want to talk to the owner and explain, like, I did not, I was being careful.
You were being careful.
Yeah. So like that I might say we'd need to discuss this. But I think that part of it is that like, you're in somebody's shop, and especially if there's a lot of glass around, you need to be mindful and careful about the way that you move through their shop.
Exactly. If you were, for instance, a bull in a china shop, that would look a lot like negligence.
That's right.
And so what I found on finelaw.com, quote, if you were careful, you probably won't have to pay, especially if you fell prey to small aisles, crowded floors, or improperly shelved merchandise.
Right.
Right. So in this case, it's a very clear case where you accidentally bump a shelf, which is kind of like, yeah, it was kind of your bad. But what happened in that store where I walked by you is actually a very normal thing that happens in a store.
Maybe you'd have to pay for it.
No, I wouldn't have to pay for it either. I wouldn't have to pay for it either. You know why? Because what happened was you were being careful and I was being careful. And what happened was just a normal thing that happens. That's just the cost of doing business, baby. That's not my fucking problem. Maybe you need to think about your shelving situation.
That they might need to think about their shelving situation.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true. Now, this is not what this post is about, but I do feel the need to say one thing. When I was a kid, my parents took me to a pig farm. No.
A pig farm? What a turn. I did not expect that. This does not seem like a very delicate place. Were you at China in a bull shop?
So my parents had a house upstate. And so we would go there in the summers and we went to this pig farm. And I remember there was a gift shop at the pig farm.
Ooh.
And I have like a distinct memory burned into my brain of breaking something in this gift shop. And you know how like there's certain memories in your whole life, but also from your childhood where you're just like, it's not that big of a deal, but like for some reason, you just always remember that time. Yeah. So like I always fucking remember the time I broke something in the pig farm gift shop and I felt so bad.
Oh no.
I felt so.
What'd you break?
I don't remember.
You just remember that you broke
I think it was like an ornament or something like that. And my dad paid for it, but I just remember the feeling of like terror or something, you know? So that's just a side note. Little story.
That's cute.
Little Dana Berger lore.
That's cute. I mean, who among us can't relate with, you know, living in Stuytown and going upstate to a pig farm, breaking something in the pig farm gift shop. I mean, every single one of us relates with this. And finally inheriting the apartment from our parents, having affordable rent. But I think, you know, what you did going into the children aspect, right? I think we all know, every parent knows, children are essentially terrorists.
Well, I mean, so
if you bring a child into a China shop, and they break something, would I say, was that being careful or reasonable, or was that being negligent? I would say, obviously, that's being negligent.
Okay, but I wasn't like 4. I was probably 8 or 9.
Yeah, but you're still a child and you're still a moron. And so
I was not a moron as a child. But
well, you did a moronic thing, right?
I accidentally broke something.
Yes, you accidentally, but you probably were putting yourself in a position. I mean, you just drop it?
I think, honestly, I don't totally remember, but I think what I did was I put it back and somehow it wasn't sturdily put back.
Yes, so you weren't good at putting it back. Kids struggle with fastening and maintenance and various procedures that are very simple because they're kids, and that's okay. But that is why your dad paid, because he knew I let my 9-year-old child, my little cocooned Stuytown kid, you know, interface with the
run
real
wild
world.
On a pig farm.
I'm having fun. Run wild on a pig farm.
Yeah.
So anyway, going into this situation now that we have a little bit of a legal framework, I think to myself, okay, did the wife really do anything wrong? Is what she did normal? Is this something that could normally happen? You brought us here. You said, what if you knocked over something at your friend's house, right? It's normal. It happens.
Totally.
People knock things over.
People break glasses.
We drop things. It happens over the course of time. It's a normal thing that happens.
Totally.
And I think most people in a home have some nice things laying around, maybe $100 vase or something. Right?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't think I have a $100 vase, but I'm me.
I don't have any very expensive decorations lying around, but I would think that once we start to get into $500, you know, you might
put it aside if you were inviting a bunch of strangers into your house.
You might set it up. Oh, I mean, we're not even talking about strangers. I was still talking about friends. But yeah, absolutely, you're right. You know, I mean, I have a projector. I have this projector, and like basically,
you also have a $600 ice machine.
Yeah, but the ice machine, you could punch that thing. It's a tank. It's sturdy. But I have a projector that basically the lens is kind of exposed. I had a friend put a drink down near it right away. I was like, "There's no drinks near the projector for obvious reasons." Yeah. No problem. You know, I'm going to be policing it because it's, you know, it's a nice piece of hardware. So I think you just brought us to the next point, which is you're having an open house.
Yeah.
People are coming in here that you do not know.
Yeah.
They could be gesticulating wildly. They
like
could
me.
Be Italian, which is not a sin, people. They could be Cuban.
They could be Jewish.
They could be Jewish. Are Jewish gesticulators? Are you?
I don't know, but I certainly am. I'm constantly like hitting people in the street by accident, like bumping into them.
Sort of theatrically.
I'm just a
gesturing. You're an actor.
Yeah.
You are very expressive.
Yeah. So, and I'm not doing it on purpose, but the amount that I like bump into people and hit people by accident, it's a lot actually, not on purpose.
It's cute. Well, it's endearing.
That's what by accident means.
You're normal. You're still normal. You're a normal person. You're vivid. You're alive.
Yeah.
You know, you're a thespian.
I'm animated.
You're animated. You know, it's not crazy. It's not negligent.
But you do need to be spatially aware when you're in someone else's house.
Sure. You need to be spatially aware. However, is it reasonable that in a lapse of such spatial awareness that happens normally, if you were to knock something over, that somebody is to say, well, that thing cost $5,000 and you owe me for it? Is that reasonable?
Did they say 5,000?
Actually, OP says 10,000. That was posted in a comment.
What?
Remarkable.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that changes everything. I thought he said 4 figures.
Well, yeah, high four. Maybe it's 9,000.
10,000 is not 4 figures.
10,000 is 5.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what this poster writes. YTA, first off, 10K is 5 figures. Secondly, if anything, that value is on display to the public. Hopefully the owner is smart enough to have it insured or covered in some way. I would request an appraisal. Otherwise, you could be paying out the ass for something worth $50. Yes, your wife broke it and needs to pay, but she might only need to pay $500 or less, not $10,000. This is worth letting the homeowner sue for and prove her case.
So who wrote that?
One of the commenters.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a $10,000 item, to me, that changes everything.
Yeah.
I thought from what you read that we were talking about a $1,000 item. And so if it's a $10,000, first of all, what the fuck is that vase?
What is it?
Yeah.
You know?
How can you have something appraised after it's destroyed? Can you? What is the value of something like that?
What is the value?
Yeah.
And I think that's because you know what this thing sounds like? It sounds like it was pretty. It sounds like it was pretty and it was nice, and maybe you thought it was worth 10 grand, but I think it was probably worth maybe $100. I don't think it was glass. It was painted beautiful colors. It was rectangular.
It doesn't sound. What is that though? Like, is it a sculpture?
Exactly.
What is
it?
That?
A relic? I think this is a interesting thing you collected and decided was worth 10 grand.
Right.
OG Bruce Wayne writes, your wife is the one who's responsible. The problem is you're both married, but approaching this as individuals rather than as a team. This should be an everyone sucks here, but she broke the item, is responsible for making things right. NTA.
So remind me, is the OP saying he's not going to help her pay for it?
The OP just took this very staunch thing, you know, that she's responsible and she has to pay. And she broke someone else's property, so she has to pay it. That's how the world works.
Okay, but he's not saying, obviously it's just coming out of their joint bank account.
Well, he said he would offer to help, and he actually clarified.
So they're married and they don't share.
Are they married? Yeah, they are married. And well, he clarified later that it would take her something like 10 months of paychecks to pay for this because, you know, they have high expenses.
I'm going to go off on a tangent here. What do you think about this arbitrary idea that just because you're married to somebody means that you have to take their side regardless of what is actually happening?
No, I hate that.
This is bullshit, right?
Well, I think what I don't like sides. I really am trying to combat sides. I'm against side taking. Because usually, you know, taking somebody's side, I think first of all creates a system where it's like you're not really helping the situation.
Okay.
So I think just even framing it that way is problematic. And I don't like the way he did that. Mm-hmm. I don't like the way he seems to be taking the other person's side. He's not really listening to the wife or seeing how the wife is right. Because in the end, in most conflicts, everybody is a little bit right. I've been trying to say this. Everybody's always a little bit right.
You've been trying to say this?
I've been trying to say this for some time on this podcast. This is episode like 600 something.
No, I didn't.
A lot of things have been said here.
Okay.
But in other words,
I'm glad you finally got the chance to say it.
Thank you. In life, it is very, very, very rare where it's 100 to 0 or 0 to 100.
Yeah, of course.
Things happen. Things are complicated. And we need to see both sides. So the issue with this woman is, you know, she was a quote unquote victim here of this, you know, harm. Her little trash was broken. Her little glass trash was broken. you know, and the wife was maybe, you know, she could have been more careful apparently, you know, but both people are right because obviously when we look back and think about this, if I went to your house right now in Stuytown as it is, which is a wonderful neighborhood, as I said the whole time, a beautiful complex.
Yes.
You know, and I knock something over and you go, Danny, you owe me 10 grand. I'm gonna laugh in your face. Well, why the fuck is your house set up where if I do something normal, I gesticulate wildly, then now I owe you 10 grand? I mean, that's absurd.
I guess that's true. I guess the idea is if you're going to have something that expensive in your house, then if you also entertain guests, you will run the risk of it getting destroyed.
Of course.
And pretty much only wealthy people have $10,000 items in their house. And so when they get broken, they eat the cost.
I mean, I would say like if you had a Lamborghini and then you would hopefully, and you're bringing someone to go hang out in your Lambo and they're drinking a Hawaiian Punch, you would probably say, because you've had the thought, don't drink the Hawaiian Punch in the Lambo.
That's right.
You know, and I think any reasonable person would be, of course, because what if I spill it on the freaking Lambo?
That's right.
You know, and then you go, oh, it's a Lambo. It's not a 2021 Camry hybrid, but sure, I don't need to bring it in. You know, it's not like a real car. It's a sports car, ugly.
Right.
But so I think this woman was put out, whatever, her thing got broken, but it's not reasonable. It is a sort of trap. She wasn't wrong when she said that. That's what she said, how she thinks it may have been a trap. It is kind of a trap. It's a thoughtless, very unusual thing to have.
I would also like to understand, though, something we haven't considered is the weight of this item. Because if it's something that's heavy and not easily movable, like how wild does this woman gesticulate? Like what on earth
I don't think it was very heavy or big.
You know, like what?
She swiped it. She swiped it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, I'm surprised because before we started, I said that I had looked at what we were going to talk about and I thought they were all very obvious. Yeah. But now two out of the three, you have convinced me to change my mind.
Oh, so where are you now?
Now I'm on the wife's side.
I think this is a big botch from him. I think that
from the husband?
From the husband. And I think this is what I'm talking about. Taking a second and hearing. Let's hear the wife.
Well, we're debating it.
Yeah, well, he's coming at her so hard because he's sort of like, well, we broke her thing.
He was also probably embarrassed.
Exactly. And it's taking a second to be like, okay, babe, I hear you, and I need time to process this. I mean, guys, we live in a time where we have the AI and we have the Google and we have, more information than ever. So don't just listen to someone who's telling you have to pay him 10 fucking grand. Because does that seem normal to you? Of course not. It's hideous. It's completely abnormal.
Look, had the original post said something about 10 fucking grand.
Well, even if it was 1,000.
It's a little different. I just think I think the price is a little different.
1,000, even at 1,000, I'm like, is that really a normal thing for somebody to have 1,000? Like if I handed you a glass, and this is a little bit skewing the numbers, but if I hand you a glass and then you break it and I say that's $1,000 glass.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's not a good example.
I mean, it's not that far off. This thing was made of glass. Now, you weren't actually handling it, so you couldn't drop it. It was knocked off, but it's kind of like you still had it in a place where it could be knocked off. Put it on a table.
Maybe this is the first time this woman ever rented the apartment or had an open house.
Well,
and now she's learned her lesson.
And there's another thing I read here. The realtor, this is a normal thing that the realtor would instruct upon.
Oh.
Now, I mock the realtors and the real estate people, but, apparently this is something that they could have actually done for the economy, is tell the old lady, maybe don't keep the $10,000 bullshit out.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think hubby here was like trying to do the right thing, but just not really thinking about the fact that this is it's unreasonable.
Yes. I agree with you now. I want to bring it back to their ages.
Yeah, he's 24, of course.
I think maybe that's also part of what we're dealing with.
Sure, of course. He's 24. He thinks he knows how the world works, but no, he's got a lot to learn.
Well, also, I think he's trying to be polite and do the right thing and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, but he's not really doing his wife right, and that's why ultimately I am.
I mean, look, if he's willing to pay for it, I don't actually think he's doing her wrong.
But his whole attitude is wrong. That's my issue here.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a good attitude to have. That's how the world works. Maybe take a second and think about how you don't know how the world works, because you're actually hurting your wife and yourself. You don't have to pay this crazy woman. Prove to me that it's worth $10,000.
No, that
on
again,
what grounds?
Yes.
And is it reasonable? No, it's not. AITA for making my wife pay for something she broke. I'm sorry. I'm at YTA. You're the asshole.
Oh.
You're the asshole. This guy's the asshole. You know, this woman is saying it's worth $10,000. Probably not. You know, I think she's demanding it. I actually love what you said. Maybe she doesn't even know better herself. Well, sorry, lady.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, but that's just, you weren't really thinking this through. And maybe that is why you should have gotten a realtor instead of putting it on Craigslist.
Right. I agree with you. You've changed my mind.
Wow. Folks. Dana.
And my face is still peeling.
Hey, what does that do to your face?
Microneedling?
Yeah. You look youthful. You look young.
I love it. It does. It is good for that.
Yeah.
It sort of is like boosts collagen production in your face.
Sure.
The reason I'm peeling right now is not because it's because they put something on my face that like a serum or something that's peeling off. But I do look ridiculous, and
you look fine.
For anybody watching this, I don't normally look like this.
Yeah, but you don't look that different from how you look. You just look red.
Yeah, but I also, whatever. We can get into this later.
Our sponsor today is microneedling and peeling while being videotaped. Guys, Dana, thanks for joining me. This was really fun.
This was awesome. I loved it.
We'll do it again.
Yes,
All right,
definitely.
guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.